Dear people of God at Trinity, thank you for joining me for my reflection this week. Given where I am and what I'm wearing, perhaps the most important words I could share with you are remember to wear a hat and sunscreen. But I have more. Actually, speaking of wearing a hat and sunscreen, that is something I did not do when I was growing up, and my skin is testimony to that experience of baking in the sun. Something else I did do when I was, especially when I was in high school, was I became steeped in the writings of many inspiring writers, from Julian of Norwich, the 13th century mystic, to Hermann Hesse and Siddhartha, and also Rainer Maria Rilke, Letters to a Young Poet. As usual, this week I was blessed with an email that spoke to me that I wanted to share with you, because it was about one of the themes of Rilke's work. The work that inspired me the most was his letters to a young poet, not just to the budding poet, Franz Xaver Kappes, but to every human being with a beating heart and a restless soul. Lately, we have, in conversations, shared the deep sense of sadness, of melancholy, of exhaustion, despite the hope, which is there, the light at the end of the temple, at the end of the tunnel. There's also a confusion, a surprise at how we continue to feel exhausted, and it's difficult to carry on and move on. And there is a sense of sadness in the air. So these are the words that Rilke offers as he explores the value of sadness, perhaps as a clarifying force for our own interior lives. Perhaps it will speak to you. I hope it does. Rilke writes, "You've had many and great sadnesses which passed, and you say that even this passing was hard for you and put you out of sorts. But please consider whether these great sadnesses have not rather gone right through the center of yourself, whether much in you has not altered, whether you have not somewhere, at some point of your being, undergone a change while you were sad. Were it possible for us to see further than our knowledge reaches, and yet a little way beyond the outworks of our divining, perhaps we would endure our sadnesses with greater confidence even than our joys. For they are the moments when something new has entered us, something unknown. Our feelings grow mute in shy perplexity. Everything in us withdraws, a stillness comes, and the new, which no one knows, stands in the midst of it and is silent. Almost all our sadnesses are moments of tension that we find paralyzing because we can no longer hear our surprised feelings living, because we are alone with the alien thing that has entered into ourself, because everything intimate and accustomed is for an instant taken away, because we stand in the middle of a transition where we cannot remain standing. For this reason, the sadness too passes. The new thing in us, the added thing, has entered into our heart, has gone into its inmost chamber, and is not even there anymore, is already in our blood. And we do not learn what it was. We could easily be made to believe that nothing has happened, and yet we have changed, as a house changes into which a guest has entered. We cannot say who has come. Perhaps we shall never know. But many signs indicate that the future enters into us in this way in order to transform itself in us long before it happens. And this is why it is so important to be lonely and attentive when one is sad, because the apparently uneventful and stark moment at which our future sets foot in us is so much closer to life than that other noisy and fortuitous point of time at which it happens to us, as if from the outside. the more still, more patient, and more open we are when we are sad, so much the deeper and so much the more unswervingly does the new go into us, so much the better do we make it ours, so much the more will it be our destiny, and when on some later day it happens, we shall feel in our inmost selves akin and near to it. And that is necessary. It is necessary. And toward this our development will move gradually, that nothing strange should befall us, but only that which has long belonged to us. I offer these words with a prayer that you will be open to the meaning that they speak to us as we resist and fear and struggle with our sadness. Perhaps it is preparing us. Perhaps it is offering us the gift of new life, both as individuals, as community, as the world that God has given to us, has created us to be. Amen.